Welcome, fellow crypto addicts, to the first due diligence slash project analysis here on this channel. And in this format, I want to take a closer look at some cryptocurrencies or tokens and give you an overview about them. I want to go through different aspects on how to analyze a project, and in the end give you an overview if it makes sense to buy this token, give you a price expectation and a signal like buy, sell, hold. And this time we're taking a look at Origintrail. This is a very interesting project. I came across it a few weeks ago, and it seemed very promising, and that's why I decided to take a closer look at it. Alright, so let's get into the due diligence for Origintrail and answer the question if one should invest into TRAC, the native currency of Origintrail. And before I do that, let me quickly point out to you that this video is not financial advice and that you should always do your own research before investing into anything. And this is kind of my research that I used, and I structure my due diligence like this. So I got 5 topics that I'll go through when doing my due diligence. So firstly, I look at the fundamentals of the project. What are they doing? What's their value proposal? Then I'm looking at the finance and economics of this project. And then I'm usually looking at the future of the project, like kind of the roadmap and stuff like that. And then I look at the team that's behind this project. Are they experienced and so on? Then I'm trying to evaluate the social sentiment. Is it positive? Is it negative? Do they have a good? Do they have a crowd of users backing them, or are they a rather small project? And then lastly, I will summarize and rate this, and in the end, I will give you my sources and just the info for you. So to stay tuned. In the Phenomics section, I got some information that's not really on the internet, so I used the blockchain analytics tool to gain some further insights into the token holders, wallet addresses, or whatever. And this information is very valuable, so stay tuned for this. But now we're starting with the fundamentals. I unpack this here. So let's start looking at Origintrail. So Origintrail is a Slovenian company. It's based in the capital city of Slovenia, and it's the first purpose-built protocol for supply chains based on the blockchain. And yeah, so far so good, but let's look at their elevator pitch. So in one sentence, what do they do? Well, they're an open source blockchain solution for IT providers in the supply chain. Okay, so this is obviously a project that is in the utility area of supply chains, which is, in my opinion, the next big area where that blockchain technology can transform. So first we had the finance sector with DeFi, and I think now we're going into the direction of bringing utility to supply chain. And Origintrail is bringing a solution for opaque, inefficient, and untrusted supply chains, as well as information asymmetry. And I want to solve the one step down, one step up principle in supply chain. Basically, this one step down, one step up principle is that in a supply chain, every supplier only knows his supplier and the one he delivers the products to. So one step up the supply chain, one step down the supply chain. That's the whole span that one actor in the supply chain is involved in, so to say. And Origintrail wants to solve this so that every actor in the supply chain has access to the information in the whole supply chain. So their value proposal is that they want to enable a fluent exchange and integrity of supply chain data. They want to have this very scalable and very cost efficient, so that companies are actually going to use it. And for the consumer, they want him or her to be able to authenticate what they're purchasing. It may be in terms of, well, is this product a fake, or also in terms of, okay, I bought this chicken, is it really coming from wherever the package says it's coming from? And that's basically their value proposal. But what are their unique selling proposal? So what are they doing different? So they wanna have a blockchain supported data sharing in the multi-organizational environment, and I think this is a very good point here, because data sharing in organizations is very important, and it is very also very important for companies to have an efficient data sharing module or option, and also if data is shared through Origintrail, all the sensitive data is encrypted at all times, which brings safety to the supply chain, so, or at least to the data on the supply chain. And the next point is that the Origintrail will be decentralized and very interoperable with other blockchains, but also with ERP solutions. We'll come to that later. It will be the supply chain tracking with Origintrail will be very transparent and, yeah, very much traceable. Otherwise, it would not make sense to use Origintrail for supply chain tracking if the data would not be traceable. And yeah, well, again, they will improve the integrity of product data, if it's the authentication of products or where they are coming from, supply chain, all of that stuff. And what's very important is that they support global standard for data exchange. So, for example, the GS1 standard, they are supporting IoT standards and compliance standards, which makes it very easy and very valuable for companies to cooperate with Origintrail, as they support these standards that are needed for reporting, or they are used in the industry as a whole, so they don't have to use a new data format and stuff like that. It's very easy to integrate Origintrail into existing companies, and this is a very strong selling proposal, as you have to think about every company that's using Origintrail will probably not use it if it takes 10 years and costs a lot of money to implement it. And so far it seems that Origintrail is trying to solve it to make it as easy as possible, so they will have a quick and efficient implementation, and they are ERP compatible. So ERP systems are enterprise resource planning systems, so that's like SAP, and well, basically every big company who runs on such an ERP system. And if the thing is that Origintrail is compatible with that, which is a very strong selling proposal for a future company looking to track their supply chain with Origintrail. Alright, so now coming at the technology, what is Origintrail? Well, it's a decentralized knowledge graph. Yeah, that's just what it is. If you want more information on this, feel free to look it up, what a decentralized knowledge graph is. It's way beyond the scope of this video to explain that. But yeah, and also they're using a zero knowledge proof, so that the data can be encrypted and private while validating that the data is correct. Origintrail is open source, which is very good, and it supports many different blockchain implementations. And this is due to the fact that they're using the Origin decentralized network system. So what does that mean? Well, the Origin decentralized network system has 3 layers. And the base layer is basically the blockchain layer. This is where the decentralized graph databases are stored. So for example, if I'm a company and I want to track a product, the supply chain of a product, then a graph, this decentralized knowledge graph, is created with all the information about all the information that I feed into the graph, and this graph is then stored on the blockchain layer. But this does not need to be the Origintrail blockchain. This can also be stored, or is also compatible with Ethereum blockchains, with IOTA blockchain, with the Neo blockchain, and so on. But basically on the blockchain layer, the decentralized graph, so the data of the companies, of the supply chains, is stored. And then we have the network layer, and this is this network layer is taking the role of providing accessibility and data governance. So there we have the nodes running and verifying the data, distributing the data. So this is the network layer. And then overall, we have the data layer. So this is like for data management, for connectivity functionality. So you can connect data sets. So you can access the data sets of the different, let's say, supply chains of the different companies via the data layer. And this is a uniform layer so that every day, all the data is very much connected and is interoperable with each other. And this is a very strong point, as for example, if you use even in the data, if the data is uniform, so in the data layer, so let's have an example for not uniform data, so like the date data. So in the US and in the EU, there's a different way of writing the data. So if I write the date in the European format, then this will be different to if I write today's date in the American format. And if the data is connected with each other, is on the same level, then it should be no problem to access the data, to have the same data if it's the US format or as the European format. And this is a very strong value that Origintrail brings here, because it makes it way much easier to connect data, to have interoperable data and all that kind of stuff. But what are the direct users of Origintrail? Well, there are the developers creating supply chain applications. There could be third-party technology providers, like people who would develop those enterprise research planning systems or just doing software, but also the in-house supply chain technology teams of the respective companies. Continuing, we're looking at the application scope. So what could you do with Origintrail? And well, as already said before, you can authenticate products, you can make the journey of a product visible, you can have a very efficient recall. So if you sell, for example, a product that is does have some kind of problem and you have to recall this product, and if every product is tracked on the on Origintrail or on whatever, it's very easy to recall all the products that have this problem. As you can see, all the products that are supplied and where they are sold and so on. And so that could make recalling products very efficient. Could ensure that products are fresh. So for perishable products, you have a supply chain accountability, you can have a CSR activity support, supply chain mapping, inventory management, was supply chain compliance assurances when it comes to governments or regulators, and also kind of the same thing here as customs and audit and regulations. Processes can be optimized as Origintrail uses uniform data, so you can just get the data quickly out of the system and get it into any kind of format that you would need as a company for your audits or for customs, you know. So example, you're at the border and the border agent wants to see, okay, where's this product coming from, what's it containing? You can pull up the QR code, go into the blockchain, so to say, pull up the information, and you'll be there to have it anytime, anywhere, as it's stored decentral. And very quick and very efficient. So from the applications side, Origintrail has a very, very good value proposal. And it's already used today in the food industry. So there are 2 Slovenian companies that are using it for meat and dairy tracking. But I also read that Costco, Target, and Walmart are also implementing Origintrail's technology. Then further application could be in the automotive, in the consumer goods, or in the pharmaceutical sectors, and there are pilot programs for that in the EU and China. But also the public sector could be interested in the technology that Origintrail is offering. So for example, the food safety market is partnering with Origintrail for food certifications, and this is a EU funded project. Additionally, Origintrail also has a business network, so they call it the TRAC Alliance, and this is a EU-based non-profit association within the Origintrail ecosystem. So it's basically the gateway towards solutions based on the Origin protocol and blockchain technology. So you think about it like that. There are a few members that can join this TRAC Alliance, and then they can work together with Origintrails to find a solution for their company. I call it a business network, but it's basically also more like a sales channel. And under the TRAC Alliance, there are TRAC Labs, and are the core technology builders of Origintrail for the inter-organizational data exchange. So these are kind of their channels, their business networks, how they are trying to get they are trying to sell their solutions, so to say, in my opinion at least. Probably the company or the project thinks of it a bit different, but I think I see it as sales channels. And if those alliances grow and grow and grow, and as they're all based on Origintrail, then the usage of Origintrail will grow. And well, they have some important members like Parity and Deloitte, so I think this is a very good step here to have these business networks. And they also do a lot of partnerships, so they're partnered with GS1 in Slovenia. So GS1 is a not-for-profit international organization developing and maintaining standards. So for example, they if I'm correct, they were first to have the barcode standard, and also they're partnering with Oracle. Most of you know this is a multinational computer technology corporation. BSI, the business standards company. Parity, well, they are the core blockchain builders for Ethereum and POLKADOT, and they are also partnered with ACALA, the DeFi hub of POLKADOT, and the University of Vienna. And actually have a lot more partnerships that are just the most interesting ones. And I think with these partnerships, you can see that Origintrail has a strong value proposal that can bring to the table, and this is actually not acknowledged by these organizations, companies whatsoever. And this is a good this lays a good foundation where you can say, okay, this project maybe has some real utility that it can bring to the table here. And additionally, they have also 5 investors. Well, among them are not like the biggest in the blockchain space, but they have investors. And always, if they have some bigger investors, they will also do their due diligence, and they would probably not invest if the project is a scam or is not providing the utility necessary, so to say. And as I already told you before, this Origintrail has synergies with Ethereum, IOTA, Neo, and POLKADOT, as this Origintrail can connect all these blockchains together. Or let's say, as far as I understood it, users of Origintrail do not necessarily need to go through the Origintrail blockchain, but can also implement it on Ethereum, IOTA, Neo, or all the other cryptocurrencies, blockchains whatsoever. So all in all, this is the fundamental analysis of Origintrail. I think they have very strong fundamentals. Alright, this was the first part of the due diligence. In retrospective, I decided to split up this video into 3 parts, and this was the first one, so stay tuned for part 2 and part 3, so that you have the complete analysis. And thank you very much for watching through this. Feel free to like and subscribe so you get notified when I upload the other parts. And that was it for me for today, and I'll see you guys in the next one.